Greetings of the day, children. Today we are going to study about the chapter 1, the rise of nationalism in Europe. Is a part of your history textbook. Now, in this chapter we are going to study about the process of emergence of nationalism in Europe during 18th century. Now, this concept of nation state created and liberated Europe, which had a legacy on the other parts of the world also. Now, this process was created by the French Revolution and proceeded to the other factors. The new ideas that was created by the French Revolution, like liberty, equality, fraternity, changed the history for Europe and the world once and for all. Now, in this chapter we are going to study about the understanding the events, factors and processes leading to the sense of collective belonging. We will also study and identify the ideas of the French Revolution in shaping the future of Europe during 18th century. We will also comprehend the role of Napoleon and his code in changing the political and economic sentiments of Europe. We will also see how the sentiments of nationalism created the idea for unification in process of Germany and Italy. Children, as you already understand the process that human society has evolved from food gathering to nomadism to settled agriculture. A parallel political development also took place where different system of government was established. In different parts of the world, different systems of government was created. For centuries and centuries, it was the kings and emperors who controlled the power in the society. Common people did not have political and economic rights. They were exploited. It was the French Revolution accompanied with industrial development and emergence of liberals that changed the idea of political history once and for all. Europe witnessed the emergence of sense of collective belonging and establishment of modern-day nation state. The same modern phenomena of nationalism, when was mixed with hyper-nationalism, led to World War I. Let us start with one activity. Imagine yourself as a king. You are a king Darshan of Darshangar. Now your kingdom is going through a financial crisis and there is no better source of revenue collection. You are also facing a series of major revolts and uprising from new educated class. Now you introduce some political and economic policies that will strengthen your kingdom. Also plan for tackling and uprising. So you can understand how monarch exists and how king functions also. If he or she did not like the opposition, they will take some steps to tackling the protest also. Now moving ahead, look at the map. Now in this map, you are going to identify the countries of Europe with their currency. We have A, we have B, C, D, E and F. If you are able to collect these countries, you will be able to understand the major countries of the Europe and their currency also. Some of the important countries that we are going to see was France, Germany, Austria, Russia. Do you think Europe shown in the given political map in the previous slide was same in 1800? The answer is no. Then let us see. One of the great artists called Frederick Chorrieu, in 1848, he published the different pictures and images in which he created the idea of democratic and social republics. The image depicts USA crossing the Statue of Liberty, followed by the Switzerland. Leading the procession are the United States of America and Switzerland. Do you know why United States is so famous? US is so famous, powerful country, leading all the major economic companies like Facebook, WhatsApp, Google and other activities. And you also know that Switzerland is also world renowned in terms of chocolate, in terms of banking system and Swiss watch also. Following these two countries were different provinces joined by the states which became later on nation also. So he wanted to have that kind of idea, so a great challenging system. But during the 19th century, nationalism emerged as a force which brought about sweeping changes in political Europe. So if you look at the European map that we have discussed, the whole European areas was divided into monarchy system. But we are discussing about modern nation state. The word is coming one and it will come many times. So you should understand some of the basic features that makes any place as a nation state. The first feature is defined territory. So any place which becomes nation has a defined territory. Then they also have common shared history with feeling of oneness. Now this idea was generated by French Revolution. They also have centralized administrative system and sovereign government. Not every place can declare themselves as a nation because in current day it has to be accepted by the world community. Now this world community can be United States of America, it can be United Nations and other countries. Now this idea of nation and sense of collective belonging emerged from the French Revolution. So children, let us do an activity. This activity will help you to understand the concept of sense of belonging. Some common idea running across different places. So we'll start with the activity. The activity is named as India and Indian. Now I have given you some clue. You have to go through the clue and then try to relate some common feature. The first clue is think, an anthem played on 26th January. One game that transforms India into one. You look at the clues that is given. Then, what is the significance of blue chakra in our national flag? You'll find many foods in our country which has diverse and unique positions, but there are two foods variety found in almost all parts of India. Can you name them? You'll also find that there are some festivals on which our whole country enjoys and have a holiday. So if you look at this activity, it will help you to understand that we have some common things running across length and breadth. Now, this is the same idea we are going to understand in this lesson. As I already told you that France during 18th century was divided into different state system. First state, second state and third state. You already studied in class 9 that how first state and second state used to exploit the third state. The third state mostly comprising of the peasants, farmers, middle class, businessmen, lawyers, and the first state was clergy and second state was nobility. King also belonged to the nobility class. The third state shouldered the burden of France. All kind of taxes were also paid by the third state. So they were not happy with this kind of system based on the privileges. With the idea emerging from the revolutionary spirit and by the philosophers who wrote in different books, and they believed in a society based on privilege and merit. So they challenged. So in 1789, there was a French Revolution which led to the overthrowing of the existing monarchy system. So Louis XVI was asked to move ahead. So they had a constitutional monarchy system, and then constitutional monarchy was overthrown, finally leading to the creation of republic system under Robespierre. And then again you find the coming of Napoleon. So establishment of Napoleon as a monarch in 1804 was a step backward. But however, the feeling of nationalism, the feeling of idea, the feeling of liberty took the new shape. So French Revolution created a certain new dynamics for the European society. And let us see. The revolution transferred the sovereignty from the monarch to the French people. So the concept of democracy emerges from here only, which was then later on experimented and perfected in different parts of the Europe and other parts of the world also. The French Revolution created the ideas of la patrie, the fatherland, and the la citoyen, the citizen adopted. You know that in our country also, we don't have division, but as a mark of respect, we call sir and madam. We denote our motherland as a Bharat Mata. So this kind of concept emerged from the French Revolution also. The French revolutionaries created new French flag that was tricolor in nature. They replaced the royal standard. State General, I hope you remember, State General was an assembly that existed prior to 1789. And it was in the hands of the king who decided when to call State General, and they used to take decisions on the behalf of king. This was replaced and renamed as National Assembly. This National Assembly represented the interest of common people. The French Revolution also created a centralized political system. It abolished internal custom dues and uniform weights and measures were also adopted. French became the language of the nation. Now, revolutionary thought that the legacy of French Revolution should go to other countries, other territorial areas. So they became their idea to remove the despotic rule in other countries also. And this ideas of French Revolution was exported to different part of the European territorial areas by Napoleon. Now, Napoleon became the monarch in 1804. You will be surprised to know that French Revolution was against the spirit of monarchy system, but then how did people supported the coming of the Napoleon? The answer lies in the understanding of the French Revolution itself. There was different experiment in the political set of France, starting from the 1789, where monarchy system was removed. A new form of constitutional monarchy was there. This new constitutional monarchy that came in 1791 was to be superimposed by the constitution. However, monarch did not believe, Louis XVI did not believe in continuity with this kind of system. Finally, he was executed. A new system of government was established, which was known as the Republic under the great leader called Robespierre. So he wanted to protect the new spirit of Republic ideas, but he was so excessive in doing his policy that he did not believe in any kind of opposition. So his own followers started opposing him. Finally, he was also executed. Now, this execution led to the new formation of the government, that was directory rule. And from directory rule, it becomes monarchy. So the political instability itself created the basis for the Napoleon. So when Napoleon became the monarch, he was not a traditional monarch. Rather, he had a monarch with more ideas, political ideas, new economic policies, and he created the foundation of economic infrastructure in France also, and is known for his code that is given in 1804. This code was further expanded and exported to the other areas of Europe when he annexed the different part. Now let us look at the Napoleon Code, that you can imagine how it created a new foundation of democratic ideas, the idea of freedom to the other European part also. Now let us look at the first important feature of Napoleonic Code. This will help you to understand also. Now, he introduced the concept of equality before law. Now why this code is so important? Because whole Europe, including France, was divided on the basis of privileges. The privileges was on the basis of by birth. So that was an impediment in the political expression of freedom, liberty and equality. So he created that all citizens should be treated in one go and equality before law should be there. And this is also part of our Indian Constitution, which treats Prime Minister and common citizen with the same perspective. So there is no differences in that context. So it created the basis for movement of people also in the political sphere also. Then he abolished the privileges that was given by the birth and granted the right to property in the French citizen. Now why right to property is so important? Just imagine a situation where you are working on a piece of land and that land belongs to somebody else. Do you think you will have the spirit to increase the productivity of that land? Because you know that any point of time that land will be taken back by the owner of the land. And here the owner was the privileged class, the monarchy system. So granting of property right was another unique and magisterial features. Because with this spirit, you can work hard, because you know the profit from that particular land will help you to buy another land, so that both the land becomes your, so your economic condition will improve. So that was the greatness of the right to property. That was also instilling the spirit of capitalism also. Then he simplified the administrative division. We will be studying in detail how the Europe and the different states had a different system, and all were divided in their own world. It was very tough for a merchant or trader to move from one place to another because of bad infrastructure and so much handicap in doing the trading activities. Then he also abolished the feudal system and freed peasants from the serfdom. This was another feature that discriminated the poor peasants. Under the serfdom, the rich, powerful landlords have huge access to the land resources, and serf here mean peasants were attached to the land. They could not move from that land because there were no alternative source of employment, and at the same time they did not had a guts to move ahead because this powerful landlord could catch him, put the penal punishment on him. So the destruction of the serfdom and the feudal system created a spirit of movement. So people can move from one part to another. They can work in whichever areas they want. Then another unique feature of the Napoleonic Code was removal of the guild system. Now what is guild and what is guild system? Just think. You might have heard this word. Guild. G-U-I-L-D. Now this is basically an association of the craft person, traders, merchant and artisans. If you look at the example like a goldsmith group, they have their own system of producing goods. They transfer their knowledge to their own generations. They also have a very close knit society where marriage takes place within that own community. Now this existence of the guild system hampered the economic activities. The prices were fixed by these guild people. The quantity to be produced was also fixed by this guild system. So somehow the guild system was impediment, or you can say there was an obstacle to the trading activities. So this was removed by Napoleon. Then he also introduced the uniform currency and measure system. Now you can understand that in absence of uniform currency system, it is very tough to do the trading activities. Just imagine you go to an European countries like Germany and you take your Indian currency. Will you be able to trade in Germany? Will you be able to purchase the German commodity with Indian currency? No, because they might not be accepting it. So this kind of differences existing during that time also. However, now with the different mode of international transactions, Indian currency can be easily converted into the German mark system and you can do the trade. But that time this was not possible. So there was a complete absence of this kind of things. There was different weights and measure system. Even the legal system was different. Suppose as a trader, you want to move from one area to another area and you're dealing in the activity of trading of rice, and you are a part of province A where 1 kg is 1 kg according to the weight system. The same 1 kg rice becomes 800 grams in province B. So as a trader, as a merchant, you are incurring loss. Again you move to the province C, it becomes 600 gram. You don't know how this 1 kg has reduced to 600 gram and you are getting loss. You come back to another province D and you find that 600 gram has become now 2 kg. So there was a differences in weights. There was differences also in the terms of measurement of the cloth and other kind of activities. So that also was impediment. So he introduced the uniform weight system. Even the legal system was different in different places in European territorial areas. For a small crime act, the punishment in province A might be for 6 month imprisonment. Maybe in province B it might be 1 year. Maybe in province C it might be just giving monetary consideration. So even people were confused that how this activity of criminal activities or this kind of a small unnecessary activity created a different legal system. So legal system was also a barrier in the movement of the people. Then Napoleon is also considered the person who created different medical colleges, infrastructural development in France, and he also improved the communication system in different part of the European areas also. Then Napoleon exported this code to different part of the different European territorial areas. Initially in Dutch Republic, in Switzerland and Italy and Germany. In the areas he conquered, the reaction of the local population to the French rule was mixed. In places like Holland and Switzerland, as well as in Brussels, Mainz, Milan, Warsaw, the French armies were welcomed as harbingers of liberty. So this common people realized the benefit of liberty, freedom. So they were so overexcited, so happy to see the French army coming into their monarchy belt, because they realized that the idea, the freedom will help them to overthrow the existing monarchy system, because they were also unhappy with their own monarchy system because of the exploitation, because of the discrimination, because of the inequalities. So they thought that Napoleon and his army will bring that fresh air, the air of freedom, liberty, equality. But this was not so. Slowly and steadily they started realizing that the same Napoleon was so great at his own home started becoming different in different places. Now you realize that Napoleon from his core of heart was a monarch. He wanted to expand in different European territories. Napoleon wanted to conquer almost all part of Europe. For that he required money. Remember, Louis XVI wanted to have more money, so increase the taxes. Same way now Napoleon wanted to expand his territories. So he increased the taxes system, increased the taxation. Then being monarch, he did not want any kind of questioning. So he restricted and imposed the censorship. Now he want more number of people joining the army to expand. So he introduced the forced conscription. It means the citizen or the male especially were supposed to join the French army to export his idea, help him to expand his territories. So this forced conscription was negated and rejected and was hated by the common people at the end. So whatever changes that was brought as a positive were outweighed by the negative changes that he introduced. So people were so unhappy. At the same time, we will find that the expansionist policy of Napoleon was a threat to the great power. The great powers like Britain, Russia, Austria were unhappy. So they joined hand in 1815 and defeated Napoleon at a place called Waterloo. So this group together and they convened the Vienna Congress in 1815. Now, Vienna Congress and its implication will be studying in this session too. So you should realize that the expansionist policy of Napoleon was brought end by this great power by defeating him at the Battle of Waterloo. Now let us check our progress. See how much we have understood in the first session of our lecture. This will be done through the MCQ. Let us check our progress. Now we discuss about the nation state, remember. So there are some common features associated with the nation state. The first question is, what is R? The component of nation state. A. Culture and sense of belonging. B. Existence of poverty. C. Colonial rule. Think about this because there are a lot of common elements of the nation state and the answer is A. So those of you who have got correct, please pat yourself. Great. Now moving to the next question. What the assembly in France prior to 1789 was known as? See, you have studied in class 9th that the system of assemblies changed from state general to the National Assembly to the convention to the directory rule. Now what was that assembly called? I have given you clue also. A. Convention. B. State system or National Assembly. The correct answer is state system. Moving to the next question. Question number 3. Which among the following is one of the greatest legacy of the French Revolution? See, you know that French Revolution created a large number of legacy and many of the legacies are also in our country. According to the option, think. Removal of the state system. B. Removal of the nobility's privileges. Or C. The supremacy of the constitution. You should connect with the political science chapter that you have studied. And the answer is supremacy of the constitution. Moving ahead. Now you have studied Napoleon in so detail. And there were different kings, Louis XVI, Louis XIV and other people. Even Robespierre was one of the great personality in the French history. Now identify the given image of a monarch who re-established monarchy system after the French Revolution. See, we have studied how French Revolution was a threat to the monarchy system. But this person, when he became monarch, he took back Germany prior to 1789. The option is Louis XIV, Napoleon, Robespierre. Image can help you to understand this. And this image reflects his intention to cross the Rhineland and move to the expansion of the European areas. Yes, the answer is Napoleon. Moving to the last question of our session, look at this image. Which color flag replaced the royal flag after the French Revolution? Select the correct option. Option A, option B, option C. Should we also able to identify the countries which are associated with this kind of flag? So correct answer is A. A is the correct option. So children, in this chapter audience session we have studied about the concept of basic idea of nation state. This was given by the French Revolution. We will also look into the Napoleonic Code and how he expanded to the different territorial areas. Finally, his expansionist policy endangered the powerful monarchy system, which was joined hand and defeated Napoleon at a very famous battle of Waterloo. From here only we'll move to the session 2.